Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Game Day from the UK, the first venture for this account going in with some live streams. Thank you for joining us. We're not trying to take anybody's spot here. We know that 5 Reasons Sports, Miami Heat Beat, for example, they have got it locked down for your Game Day fan experience with their pre-game shows, their post-game shows, half-time shows. They are absolutely spot on for all the stuff they do. But if you're in the UK, like us four, that can sometimes prove quite tricky, especially when they're on the West Coast. So it's difficult for us to be staying up to that sort of time in the morning to watch along to their shows. So we thought we would give it a go here at a sociable hour for us UK fans. And even if you're in the US, it gives you a chance for some, mid-afternoon, early afternoon streaming shows, a bit of content for everybody. So I'm joined by 4 diehard Heat fans from the UK. I've got Danny, Sam and John along with me. Sam, you will recognise both from our podcasts, Heats Up UK. Sam, how you doing, mate?
I'm great, thanks. How you doing?
Yes, I'm very good. A little bit nervous doing this for the first time, but hopefully we'll lock it down. Also got Danny. Danny, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for joining. Loving what you're wearing there. That's some good threads like that. Very colourful. And and John, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good as well. You?
Yes, we're all good. We're all good. So excited to do this. So look, before we get into, we're previewing the tonight's game against the LA Clippers. Before we get into any of that, let's just spend a quick couple of minutes just going around the table just to say how long you've been following the Heat and how you got into it. Danny, let's start with you, mate. How did you get into Miami Heat basketball?
Yeah, man. So I was in high school, sort of back in the day, sort of mid 2000s, the sort of Shaq era. Couldn't really watch much, live content or anything like that. But, I was watching the highlights and things. And just something about Shaq and D Wade and, just kept it up, I kind of, I guess, fell out of basketball for a little while, but then obviously the big three came about and I sort of jumped back on the bandwagon, if you will, and I've been here ever since. So been through some ups, been through some downs, all about
that. Absolutely. And John, how about you, mate? How long have you been following Heat?
It's been like since 2014-15 season, and the way I got into the Heat is kind of weird. I started watching Jamal Crawford and CP3 first. And I was starting to play basketball in school, and I saw Chris Paul wearing number 3. So I googled players who wore number 3. I looked at Dwayne Wade, started watching his highlights, and then I just loved his highlights. Watched the Heat games, and that's it.
Awesome, yeah, love that. So, how long's that been? How long have you been following?
Like 5 years now.
Yeah, cool. No, that's good. So about the same sort of time as me. That's good. And Sam, obviously, I know we're familiar with each other, but tell everyone that is watching, how did you get into Miami Heat basketball?
Yeah, just pretty much same with most people. I just started playing basketball at school, and once I took a liking to the sport, I just decided to just watch more of it. And I just tuned into like Sports Center on ESPN. Yeah, I tuned into Sports Center on ESPN, and it was around the same time that Shaq got traded to Miami. So just all they seem to talk about, and that's just how I got on.
It's just everywhere at that point, man.
I didn't really follow basketball until about I got into sixth form. I didn't have a bedtime then, so I could stay up to watch basketball, and that was the year before LeBron came in. So
okay, yep. So a long time too. That's good stuff. So right, we've got a tough game tonight, guys. Tough assignment. Clippers are the 3rd game of our West Coast trip after beating Houston, and then a pretty terrible performance last time out. We will touch a little bit about last time out against Utah, but let's come on to the Clippers. Now they played last night. They won last night. They didn't have Paul George. They didn't have Kawhi. We're expecting Paul George again tonight, although there's nothing been confirmed, and it's a game time decision on Kawhi as well. If we're going to have any chance here tonight, do those two have to be out for us to be involved to have any sort of shout with this?
Yeah, I think so. I think we had struggles against Utah with our offense. If those two guys are in, both lockdown defenders, I don't really, lockdown win defenders. I don't really see. We've heard it a million times, but there doesn't seem to be like an answer offensively on this team yet, on our team, and we just struggle to generate offense.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And the thing is, well, I think they're rated number one in offensive rating. So when we're poor offensively, which we have been, that's going to be a real
And
struggle.
if you lock down Duncan Robinson, yeah, for sure. I think you saw it. I mean, such a terrible performance against Utah offensively. I mean, there wasn't much to speak of defensively either. So, I don't know if it's something going on in the locker room or what, but they don't have that kind of that spark, that energy that they had last year. And yeah, if we're not knocking down threes, we're not winning. So if you've got two lockdown wing defenders, it's not a good one.
No, that's true. John, what do you think? If we're going to get any success here, we've got to start warming up a bit offensively, because it's been shaky, isn't it? The last few games, all season really, but especially these last few games, we just don't seem to have anything going on the offensive end.
No, that's right, and it's weird that we have to rely on Kelly being good. Like, if Kelly's not good, we don't play good, and Kelly being good is just once in a while. Yeah. And we already lost to a PG Kawhi-less Clippers. So if they're playing, or if one of them's playing, then us makes it even harder.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't see. What do you think, Sam? Do you think that why has it been so bad offensively? I mean, is it too easy to just point the finger at we haven't got Goran, and should we be relying on a 34, 35-year-old to give us that spark?
It goes beyond Goran Dragic, because when you think about it, obviously we had stretches where Jimmy was out and Bam was out as well, but that's just not the issue. Just piggybacking off, I think it was the most recent Heat Beat podcast. They made mention of the fact that Duncan Robinson last season was an enigma. Teams barely planned for him. Now teams are actively planning for that dribble handoff. So it's up to Spo to just find a way to adapt to that. So we need to figure out what else we can be doing to just spark up offense. And in this game particularly, we can't afford to have many dry spells. I think we went for like 7 minutes without a point to start the third quarter in the last game. We can't afford that. And it wasn't a sieve. The Utah was shooting well in the last game. I think they shot 25-26% from free, but they hit the threes exactly when they needed to. We're missing shots. They're compounding 3-on-3, and that's just how we let the game go. We just can't afford to have a stretch where we're not scoring and we're just giving them open threes or letting them make threes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Let's just touch on, before we come back to this, let's just touch on the Utah game then, because it was the first half performance was okay. I mean, we was in. We was competitive. We was good, apart from that little cold spell in the second. But then after the break, almost immediately we just got blown away, and the game just went in 3 minutes. The game just went from us. The Heat bench against Utah contributed just 27 points. All of those points coming from Tyler Hero and Max Strus. That's not going to get it done, is it?
No, it's not. And I mean, before Dragic went out, he was in the starting lineup, right? Spo put him in the starting lineup, but now he's out. They put Kane in the starting lineup. I know Kane had an okay night against Utah. I think he was 27.
Yeah,
he scored something like that, 25, 27. I mean, if you're relying on Kendrick Nunn to be your leading scorer, there's a problem. So, I don't really know. And to be honest, Max Strus, I think, kind of, again, like piggybacking off what Sam said, he's getting some good looks and he's making some shots, but to be honest, no one's really game planning for Max Strus, right? He's a shooter. That's what he does. He's good at shooting, but if people start seeing that Max Strus is making a lot of buckets, they're going to game plan for him, and he's not going to get any action. So, I think there needs to be something done to the roster to spark something, because at the moment we don't have a deep bench like we thought we did. We thought we did have a deep bench, but we really don't.
Yeah, we was waxing lyrical about our depth. I was, especially, and when you see just two players scoring off your bench, I know there's been some issues, but that's just not going to get it done. So so coming on to Kendrick Nunn, John, his last 5 games, points wise, 16, 11, 16, 25, and then 27. 23. That's okay. That's good. That's better than obviously what he was a non-entity this time a few weeks ago. He was our 10th man. He just wasn't an option. He wasn't getting minutes or anything. He's turned it around. He's become a useful player again to us. Is there an option now where we say, well, at the moment, whilst he's on this form, he stays in the starting lineup even when Goran comes back, or do you want Goran straight back in, or do you want Tyler back in when everyone's healthy? How do you think at the point we should be going forward?
None starting for the whole season, because like you said, Dragic is 34 years old. He's not going to last. He came back one game and got injured the very first game back, so I don't think him starting would be good. And for Hero, I think he would play better with Dragic off the bench. And once Bradley comes back, those 3 guys off the bench will be much better than Nunn being back there. And Nunn is showing that if he gets his confidence back, him and Jimmy and Bam could just be a good starting lineup, and then Hero will still start his minutes.
It's I mean, I'm just pleased that he's given us another option, because without those points, we all know what he was last season. Obviously, at the beginning of last season, he tailed off, as we all know. But when you started looking at the offensive options that were going down, we've had periods this year where we've had no Jimmy Butler, no Goran Dragic, no Tyler Hero, obviously other players as well defensively like Avery Bradley, etc. But from that scoring point of view, you suddenly take Kendrick Nunn's 15, 16, 18 points a game out, and you're struggling. So, it's good that we've got that option back anyway. So for the time being, then I'd like to see Kendrick get some extended minutes, because when he's in his rhythm, he's a solid player. Another player who's definitely in his rhythm at the moment, Sam, is Max Strus. He's been a welcome surprise. We're seeing maybe the benefits of him like we did with Duncan last year, perhaps, where people don't really know much about him. Duncan's obviously struggling at the moment because suddenly now teams have got a game plan for him. But Max, obviously, we know about his shooting, but I was really, really impressed with some of his cutting and his dunks, and they're showing a bit of explosiveness against Utah. What do you make of Max so far this season?
I didn't have any expectations for him to start the season with, so obviously he's exceeded that how many games in. So yeah, it's good to have someone like that on the team. And right now, I wouldn't start him. I keep him off the bench and just hope he develops. Like I said on, I think it was our last pod, that this is his development season. He hasn't got the opportunity to go to Sioux Falls for a G League season. So just try and get the most out of him that we can this season. At the same time, just trying to develop him for the future.
Yep, that's absolutely. Yeah, it's been joy. It's always nice when you see a player just sort of come out of nowhere and offer you some solid minutes and some good points, etc. So it's been good. Right, back to this Clippers game then. Now they are, as I said, they lead the league in offensive rating. They lead the league also in 3-point percentage. They shoot at 42.2%. Something Miami has not done well this season. Danny, how do we stop LA?
Well, how do we stop LA? That's a good question. Yep. I don't quite know, to be honest.
No.
I mean, you got to give it. You just got to give it maximum effort, I guess, because I don't really see. I mean, it's going to be. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but it's going to be easier if PG and Kawhi aren't in. But
of course, yeah.
They've still got a lot of weapons out there, and I don't know. If we've got, and I don't know. It's
a tough assignment. It is a tough assignment. I just don't see how we keep up with them. That's the problem. What do you think, John? Anything that any optimism you can give us here that we can see an unlikely W?
Maybe just like it will be a make or miss. Maybe Duncan this game will get hot. But I can also see Landry Shamet going for career high. That won't be good.
Yeah, there's always a heat killer, isn't there? I think last time we played him, was it Batum went for about 28 or something like that. There's always a heat killer, isn't there, somewhere? As I say, it's going to be tough. It is going to take someone like, people like Duncan have really got to step up, Sam, haven't they? For something like this.
I think to get a win, our defense is important, but we need to score. I mean, there's no point holding them to 80 points if we can only score 75. But we need to get scoring hot today. I think we'll get a good game from Duncan Robinson. well, I'd like to believe we get a good game from Duncan Robinson because it's been a while, and
Yeah.
we don't tend to see too many off Duncan Robinson games in a row. So hopefully we get to see a good game from him today. And I really, really, really want to see an aggressive game from Bam because who's his matchup tonight? I don't think it's anyone that could put him in too much trouble.
It'll probably be Batum, would it? I'm not sure. Yeah, so that's a good point. It's a good point. It's something we've said time and time again against with Bam. So yeah, I think that's a key matchup really. Danny, just last thing on the Clippers before we just move on to something else. Their next 3 games are against Utah again, and then Brooklyn. So they might look at this as, even if there was a question mark over the availability of Kawhi, etc., they may well hold him back for this game. So that's got to be something maybe a bit promising that they might think, let's look at a little bit further down the line.
Yeah, they might look at I don't know, maybe, well, not look at, but what the Heat tend to do, and they play down to their, they play down to teams. Maybe we'll get played down to, but. Like what Sam said and what John said, to be honest, I think what is important the most about this game is offense, because I just think that after the game in Utah, we really need to see more production from Jimmy and Bam. They had okay games, but they weren't spectacular. And I think, it might be just like a make or miss game, to be honest.
Yeah. John, what do you think about the fact that there's now a little bit of conversation about the fact that Jimmy shouldn't be your key facilitator? He shouldn't even really be your top scorer. The Heat don't really have a genuine bona fide 30, 35 point a man, per point a night man in the team. You're relying on Jimmy to do everything. You're relying on Bam to get high teens, early 20s. You're relying on Goran to do what he does with the ball as well. But we don't have that bona fide, as I said, that Bradley Beal, for example, that Zach LaVine, that scorer that's going to get you those. It's hard to disagree with that, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's why I was on the James Harden bandwagon. I really wanted James Harden because Jimmy's not a scorer. He won't give you. He can give you on a 40 when needed, but he can't do that regularly. And that's how like the Heat win games. They just had multiple guys stepping up, like Kendrick Nunn, Duncan, and just stepping up. But they can't rely on Jimmy just doing it if everyone else is cold. So I want that Beal now and Zach LaVine. I would want Oladipo as well.
Yeah.
Because we don't really, if we can't rely on depth, then we just might as well get a star.
yeah. This is true. There's been some debate with a little bit of trade talk. Let's just go around a little bit on this, because there's been this debate again for a while about what do Miami need more? Do they need the scorer? Do they need a true point guard? Should we be relying on Goran, etc.? As I said, the Tyler experiment didn't really work. Lots of turnovers, etc. Or Miami seems to be littered with fours, but they don't really have anyone that's good. And as I said, Kelly is holding it down at the moment in the 4 spot. So, Sam, what do you think? If it's down to you, we expect there to be some moves before trade deadline, still a little way away yet. But what would you do? Do you think the priority should be a scoring point guard, for example, or a two-way point guard, or do you think we need this Jay Crowder number 4 lock-in player?
I'd say we need a scoring point guard, if possible, a really strong ball handler. But who's available as a ball handler? Got to scour the market for that. But we do need instant offense, someone who could turn the switch on offense when we need it. And we've been lacking it for the past few games.
Yeah, definitely. Danny, Oladipo sort of ticks that box, but he's a free agent at the end of the season. Was that something you would maybe pursue now to reignite this season, or do you think that you wait it out?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're all familiar with those. We're all familiar with 5 reasons and stuff like that. And some of the things that I've been hearing is the Heat. I think Ethan Skolnick was saying that the Heat they're still not really into Oladipo that much as he is into us. And if we don't hit at the trade deadline, you try and persuade him to come over here in free agency. But I think maybe pick up some guys on the buyout market. I like the Lonzo Ball thing that was going around recently. He's just a good point guard. He's got good vision. What's that?
I think I started the Lonzo Ball rumors.
Was it?
I was going to say, that like he will get rumored and will get linked and will get jersey swaps with everybody. But I haven't seen Lonzo Ball. Where have I missed this? I've got to get on this bandwagon.
You've not seen a lot, man. I've been seeing Lonzo Ball in a jersey swap for a long time, man. That's happened a lot, man. But no, I don't know. I think that, like what we've said before, and I think everyone really thinks, is that, Goran was great last year. We loved Goran. It was one of his best seasons that he's had with us, even though he was an all-star like just a couple of years later before, he had a great season, but he's getting old, easily injured. We need a true point guard, and we should go and get one. And, Lonzo is credible on defense. He's got great vision. He's not the best shooter, but his shooting's gotten better. So I like the Lonzo thing.
Cool.
I agree.
Right, so that's 2. John, what do you think about this? Yep. Oh, is Danny froze? Or have I froze?
I think he froze.
Sorry, can I just say one more thing?
Go on.
Have we all froze?
No, you're back, I think. No,
I was going to say, I don't know.
No, we've lost Danny. We'll try and get him back in a second.
John, guys.
John, there was a comment there for Lowry. How do you like that?
Yeah, I'd like to have a Lowry as well. I was listening to the 5 Reasons today, and they were talking about Duncan, and I was thinking, I actually think we should trade Duncan this season because I don't think he's worth getting paid. I think it was Ethan that said the Burton's thing, where he got paid as a shooter, and now the contract's not looking good. And like Duncan hasn't made like massive improvements since last season, so I don't think he'd be worth getting 22 mil a year. So I'd rather just get Kyle Lowry instead.
Yeah. Okay. I've mentioned it many times that not only am I a big Lowry fan, but I think the fit for us is perfect. So that's something that I would love for us to be interested in. But I've said it again on the podcast that I just don't know what Toronto would pick up from us that would make it worthwhile for them. I think they've got to make a decision on whether they the only way really they would make that deal is to get picks in return, and Miami haven't got that. So for me, I don't really see that as a starter, but as a fit, I think it's perfect. Right, guys. Pronounce this name for me because I always struggle. But
it's Bielitsa. Bielitsa. Nemanja Bielitsa, I think, right? Nemanja or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. What do you think on this one, Danny? A little bit underwhelmed with this. Would you just rather stick with Kelly?
He's an upgrade.
Yeah,
I think. Well, it's difficult. Then I mean, they're not really ideally what you want at that position. I like the John Collins thing that's going around, but I think you're going to have to give up a lot for John Collins, and also I don't think that Atlanta are going to really want what we're going to offer. I think they're probably going to want maybe like more experienced veteran guys, and we're not offering that. We're most likely going to be offering Duncan or and the young guys. So Bielitsa, if you can pick him up, that's great. I'd love to have him on the team. He's a pretty decent shooter, and that's what we need. We need someone to space the floor for Bam. So, but there's better guys out there, and I saw as well that Detroit are looking to maybe possibly buy out Blake Griffin. So is that a thing?
That'll piss off Eric Reed, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, but I will just say, not in the last couple of seasons, he's been all right, and it just feels like to me that he's not happy where he is, and that's not then that's probably contributing to his sort of inefficiency and sort of lackadaisical sort of attitude. And I think he give him a new environment, just play him off the bench. I don't know. I think it'd be a nice pickup too.
Okay, Sam, what do you think? For me, just quickly on the Collins rumours, that again, that's another one that I would love, but I think it's come out again today that they want picks in return, a higher pick this season, which again we can't offer. So I don't really see that as a viable option right now, which is a shame. two other quick names I'll fire at you. For me, they're a hard no with both. As I said, Blake, as Danny just said there, I'm not interested in that one. I think he's so gone past it now. Unfortunately for him, because he was such an explosive player who lived above the rim, he just can't do that anymore. And his shooting is very, very way below average at the moment. And another name that's come up today, Andre Drummond. What do you think of these
I
two
had
names?
to think about that.
No.
I'm not going to say I hate Drummond as an option, but he's too expensive for what he's going to bring to the table. I don't think we'll be able to afford. Well, we can afford that, but I don't think it'll be worth it. But if we could get him cheap, like I'm talking, was it a veterans minimum? Then yes. But if we got to pay him that max fee, then no.
Well, I think he went. Didn't he go for like a second rounder or something stupid like that? He went there, so maybe it could be got cheap, but I don't know how the salaries will match. But for me, both of them are a hard pass. Okay, right. Let's round up the trade stuff. Before I let you go, let's have a prediction on tonight's game. Let's go around the table. Danny, are you going to be optimistic here? If they are without their two superstars, we can ask for a better time to play them. They're on the second night of a back-to-back as well. Is there a W here, or?
I think the thing that gives me hope, the only thing that gives me hope is the fact that they lost so badly to Utah. I think that might spur, the locker room, get UD shouting at some people, get Jimmy sort of riled up, and let's just give it to him and see what we got. That's the only sort of optimism that I have. We'll see. I say we take the L though.
Okay, John, what about you?
I'm optimistic. If both are out, I would say like low hundreds game, up by like 8 points maybe.
Okay, so are you saying a win or a lose by 8 points?
No, a win.
A win by 8 points. Love that. Sam, what are you thinking? We're 1-1 at the moment.
If we're assuming one of the stars are out, then I would like to be optimistic and say a narrow win. But if we've got both of them, I think we're going to lose it.
Yeah, I think really, as optimistic as I like to be, we are 1-9, I believe, against teams with a 0.500 record or better. They are second at the moment in the West. They're pretty awesome at home as well. As I said, top 3-point percentage in the league. That is something that we've really struggled with. You'd like to think, as Danny said, there might be some sort of bounce back here in terms of attitude. I think we'll see a better performance, definitely. But I'm going to say an L as well, I'm afraid. So we're 1-3 for a Miami Heat across around the table there. So never mind, we will see. Hopefully we'll be surprised. A lovely 3 a.m. tip for us UKers here.
Yeah,
anybody stand up for it?
No.
I'll probably wake up and it still be going.
Triple overtime.
Probably will have a nap before the game.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'll nap first. I'll be up for it. So follow at the Miami Heat UK on Twitter for the live feed as always. Before we go, can everybody just Danny, where can everybody find you on Twitter?
At Danny Ronaldo on Twitter and Instagram.
Brilliant, John.
At John Jablonka _
Fantastic.
on Twitter and I think IG as well.
Brill and Sam.
At Bam Aquara on Twitter and Sam Aquara on Instagram.
Love it. Excellent. Well, that was the first game day from the UK in the books. We will do this every game day, hopefully. Hopefully we'll wake up tomorrow to a nice unexpected W. But until then, we'll see you on, what day are we on today? It's Monday. I think it's Wednesday night is the next game against the Warriors, I want to say, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we will be back on the next game day. But thank you for all of you that have joined in. You can watch this back as well on YouTube. So if you are watching this on replay, then thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you again next time, guys. Appreciate you watching.